Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and this is part 2 of my Freshen It Up project. Now my Freshen Up project, or Freshen It Up project, is the theme of the month for the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist group on Facebook, which is run by PM Artist Studio, and I'm part of that group, and also I'm one of the designers for that company. I design stencils, masks, and foam stamps for them. Now, if you're watching part 2, there is a part 1, but part 1 was pretty much just us making these papers, and I was using the colour combo for the month, which is also in that group, to make these papers. And I explained to you about this project that I'm working on, and this was just one of those pod boxes for detergent, and I wanted to line it and make the outsides of it so I could use this side as completed tag storage, and this one, which I've already lined, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do now, that I'm going to use for what are they called, journal cards that are finished and ready to go. This is approximately 3.5 inches. This is just a bit over 3.5 inches. So I'm going to show you how I lined it. These are on here purely because what I've done is these flaps here were lifting up because it's part of the closure system. I've just used a bit of Fabri-Tac glue underneath, and I've clamped them shut just so that they're staying in place while I get ready to do this process for you. So let's see where we're up to. Right, I'm going to use black cardstock for this. You could use whichever cardstock you choose. Now, when you're covering the inside of the box with this method, you are going to see, I don't know if you can see it there, they are not going to join up perfectly. So if you want at this stage, take something like a black Posca pen or a black paint pen, or just get a brush with black paint on it and come in and actually just cover that corner up. I know it's not the easiest thing to see, but I'm sure you can understand what I'm doing. And if you don't fully cover it up, don't worry. You can always come in afterwards with a paintbrush and just run it down there. To me, I'm not overly concerned because as far as I know, this box is going to be continually filled, and I'm not going to see those edges anyway. But I like to give you options. So first thing I want to do now is I want to create the piece that goes lengthways along this. Now, I may have to do this in different parts. I will do the width, sorry. I may have to do this different pieces of card because obviously we're dealing with different I can't speak. I give up today. Can't deal with different widths and lengths. They may not all fit within the 12 by 12. So first of all, I'm going to eventually wrap the paper I've designed over the top. So I'm just going to get a rough measurement. So that's like 4 inches and 2 notches. So if I do just under 4 inches, that will give me my score mark. So I'm going to come in with my scoreboard. And I just realised. Do I need to do this first? Sorry, I'm having a thought. I need to trim the edge of this first. I was just thinking I need to trim the length or I'll have score marks over everything. So let's see. This is just about 9 inches, right? Get the guillotine in. What's that saying? Measure twice, cut once. Ceri needs to think twice and then cut, I think. Right, so 9 inches is the width. See, and my concern is I don't think this is going to be wide enough. Ooh, it might just be wide enough, but I may actually end up getting a separate piece of card just to make sure that we're completely okay. Right, I think I said it was just under 4 inches. So if we do 1, is that an eighth? 1/8 under 4 inches. That will give me my first score mark. Press it down. Now, what was the next measurement? The next measurement is across the base, which is just over 3 1/4, but I'm going to measure here so I get a really true. See, it says 3 1/4 there, so I think we're going to do 3 1/4. So I'm going to push that up against there and then come in with 3 1/4. Again, fold that up. And then we said it was just under 4, didn't we? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little notch in there, just so I know what the measurement is. Let's put that to one side and then cut that piece off. And then tell you a trick with that piece, should you wish to do it. Where's my mark gone? I can't see the mark. Now, before we go back to fitting this into the box, if you were really concerned about these corners here, you could score this down the middle, cut it in half, fold it, and then slot the folded piece into these corners before you glued the inside. I'm not concerned about that, but there you go. Right, we've got our piece that is going to be our end pieces as well. So I'm just going to cut that in half at this point. It'll become apparent why when I start working on this. Let's just move that out of the way. So let's undo these, and hopefully they've glued by now. I need to see that this will fit in here, and it will, and it's a really nice tight snug fit. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes the measurements are just slightly off, but I think we're okay here. Right, so this is our inside. Now I'm wondering whether maybe I should do what I've just told you to do, because this isn't quite wide enough, and you know me, it's going to really annoy me if I see those little black edges. So let's just take, where are we up to? I need 4 of these, so actually I've got another piece here. Right, let's make some magic happen, shall we? So this is, let's make this 2 inches. Let's score it first. My desk just is not big enough today. So this is 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it at 3/4 of an inch, turn it around and score it at 3/4 an inch will do. Remember, this piece is purely just to conceal that edge. Now, if I remember right, we said this was just under 4. So if I come in and I do this 1 notch under 4, 1 notch under 4, I'm just going to cut this kind of down. I might do it by hand actually. There's a point at which equipment is just too big, so I'm going to cut it right down the middle of these score marks. And taking a bone folder, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to fold these and score them. Fold them and bone fold them. So I hope you're all doing well out there in the Artland. It seems hard to believe, and what is this? It's about the 9th, maybe the 9th or the 10th of January, and the whole holiday season and Christmas and that feels like it was years ago to me now. That's a bit scary that I'm thinking that way, but that's how it feels. Right, so as you can see, I can just drop that in there and it will conceal that edge when it comes to it. So I'm just using high-tack glue. It's basically a PVA glue. And I'm just going to come in, or I would if the glue would come out. Well, you can use any glue you want. I mean, I could, just as this is a placeholder, I could even probably have used a glue stick for this. So just stick that down there. I'm going to do the same process on all 4. Feel free to fast forward, guys. In this video, quite a lot of the processes are going to be repeated processes, which is I'm only going to be doing the one box. I'm not doing this one and this one. I'm going to do the other one for myself, and you will see in the thumbnail that they've both been done, but I'm only going to cover one in this video because you don't need to see the same process repeated. I only covered the inside of that one to show you how it would look. Now, if you didn't want to do this, remember, you could easily come in and just put a line of black acrylic paint there, or even if you've got black tape, you could have done it with black tape. I just thought, as it's all going to be in the same box, let's just make it all look the same. Right, so we've got our inside sorted there. Now, lid on here, Griffiths, so it doesn't leak everywhere. So I've got the piece that I actually cut in half. These are my end pieces. So again, we know that it's just under 4 inches tall. So bring in our scoreboard again. I'm going to come 1 notch under 4. 1 notch under 4. I think that's possibly the last time we need to use the scoreboard. Where's my bone folder gone? Right, let's give these a nice sharp crease. And this way, these will fit in here, and all you'll see is just a little tiny dot in the corner down there where they don't meet, but then this will go all the way to here, and the middle piece will conceal those ends. So again, let's just get that glued down. So let's have a little chat. So the Facebook group I mentioned, which is Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists group, there is a link in the description box below, along with a link to part 1. But part 1, I was making the papers for this project. So to be honest with you, both of these could be standalone videos, but as they're both part of a theme, I thought I'd like to connect them, should we say. So just come in and give that a bit of a press. There you go. So Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists group is the only Facebook group I belong to. I have my own Facebook page, obviously, but it's the only Facebook group I actually belong to and have for a couple of years now. The company PM Artist Studio are the company I designed my stencils, masks and foam stamps for. I find them an incredibly supportive group of artists, and there's none of that. Sometimes you get in a group and the group is not as friendly as you would like it to be, or there's always people who are judgmental or things like that. That, I'm pleased to say, doesn't happen with this group. So I'm going to put a link to it. If you do wish to join the group, even to come over and have a look-see, you don't have to stay, but to get in, you're going to answer either 2 or 3 questions. Really, really simple questions. Don't be put off by the thought you've got to answer questions. It's just the way that PM Artist Studio actually vets its members, so they know they're not getting people who are doing spam or anything like that. They're doing their best to try and keep the people away from the group that don't really honestly belong in the group. PM Artist Studio do 4 lives a week, which are approximately 2 hours each. 3 of them are Patricia, which is the P from PM Artist Studio, doing projects. And on the Monday one, it's the M from PM Artist Studio, which is Mariah. Come on, in you go. Why don't you go in? You went in 5 minutes ago. Sorry, I can't do and talk, obviously. So they do 4 lives a week. Very supportive, loads of time to ask questions, watch techniques. Patricia, who is Mariah's mother, and hence the P, which is Patricia, the M, which is Mariah, of PM Artist Studio, mother and daughter team. The mother is an ex-art tutor, so lots of inbred knowledge there. Inbred, that's the wrong word. Inherent knowledge there. So anyway, that's how I've just covered the inside of that box. as you can see, it's no longer looking like the box it was before. So put this to one side, and we now need to do a little bit of work on getting the covering done. Now, I don't think, let's get that glue off there. I don't think I'll need that again. So I'm going to be using double-sided tape. You've seen me cover boxes before if you've seen one of my videos. I'm using a heavy-duty carpet double-sided tape, and this is just a regular craft double-sided tape. This is the brand that I use in Britain. It's a strong multi-purpose carpet tape. I get it from my hardware store. I think you can get it online. There's bound to be equivalents out there, guys. All around the world, there's got to be equivalents. So you don't necessarily need this brand. You just need a heavy-duty double-sided tape. I prefer to use it. So, right, let's get ourselves started. Now, my method is going to be, I'm going to go from the inside here, around here, to about halfway. And then I'm going to do the other side, then I'm going to do the ends, and then I'm going to stick one panel right down the base that's slightly smaller. I know you're probably saying, Ceri, why aren't you wrapping the whole thing in one go? Well, hopefully this will explain why. There isn't enough to go completely around, so by cutting this in half and working in halves, it works out better for me. So, just as a rough guide, so this is 4 1/4, 8 3/4, 7 3/4. See, it's almost 12. So I want to cut this in half, which makes it 6. And then that will also give me the bit for overlap in the middle. So I made this paper, is it omnidirectional? That's a big word, I know, but I think that's what I meant it to be, meaning it can go in any direction. Now, it's a little bit longer than the box. I'm keeping that length, okay, because it's a relatively longer box. A couple of things I do want to do. Now, I've got no up or down, as I've just described to you, so I'm not worried about that. I'm going to come in, and I'm using a quilting ruler here, purely because it's easier for me. If I use a quilting ruler, you can see this double-sided tape is just over, is that 1/4 inch? Why is it I can't think today, guys? Right, so the tape is 3/4 inch wide, okay? That's this double-sided tape. You could use any size double-sided tape. You could actually use whatever you wish, to be honest with you. So I'm going to do just 2 squares up to that dotted line. And when I say that, what I mean is I'm going to come in, and I've got my 2 squares, dotted line, 2 squares, dotted line. I do like my quilting rulers, I must admit. I'm going to put a line along here. I'm going to do the same on this one. Now, some of you may wonder why I don't score those lines. I don't want to score them because I've got other plans for it, okay? So I'm going to come in now, and as this is, I'm going to completely cover the whole thing with, what am I trying to say, my strong double-sided tape. And I'm going to use my knife to cut off the edges. And by knife, I mean one of these, a sharp little so-and-so, should we say. I'm going to start by using the thinner one, wherever the line is, along this edge. It'll become apparent as I go along as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm just going to come up here. I'm just going to run the knife down there. Come here. Now, of course, all of this, as I said, could be done with glue. I just have always found, for me personally, tape works best. Aren't you moving? I think this blade is a bit big for this knife, but they're the only blades I've got left. I've used all my others. Shot that bit off there, and I wanted a new blade for this. It always works best if you're using double-sided tape to use a new blade. So this is another reason I like using the wider tape, is because I can do this in not very many pieces of tape whatsoever. I could always be using, what am I trying to say? I could always be using a metal ruler to see the edges, but I don't feel I need to. Am I going to make 3 out of that? No, I'm not. Right, because the height of this isn't equally divisible by the width of the tape, I'm going to put the strongest tape at the top of the bottom. And then I'm just going to put the regular tape in the middle, just to hold it in place. Just cut it on here. The blade is sharp enough, I don't need a self-healing mat for it. Right, so now you've seen me do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. So I've got, you don't have to see me do it twice, okay? So pausing the video for 2 seconds, guys. So that's all of the taping done. Now it's important to remember that this is the top edge. I only say that because many a time I put it on upside down. Now, where's our box gone? Where has our box gone? Oh, there it is. So what our aim is to do is we're going to line up the top edge of the box with the bottom edge of that white line of tape. The rest will then become apparent as we go along. So now I do apologize before we even start. I have to do this facing me, so hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing and it won't be so difficult to see, which is my only concern when I do things like this. So just taking away the double-sideds. Now, if there is one downside to this, it's a case of once you put the box down, the box is down, okay? I know someone's going to say in the comments, if you put white glue over the top of the double-sided tape, you'll have a bit of wiggle room. Yep, fully aware of that one. I just want my box to be finished completely in one go. And I don't want to be messing around with wet glues. Right. So I find it easier, don't go there. I find it easier to put this facing me. And then I lift the box up and I lift it up so it's on an angle. I just judge distance-wise either side and I touch it down. So what I've done, as you can see here, is I've lined it up with the bottom edge of that tape, which should be the measurement that we made. Okay, I give it a good press on the inside just to make sure this is nicely covering this. We will then have to make some cuts. Okay, so now you can use a ruler for this or you can eyeball this. This here, this flap needs to go inside this gap. So I line up my blade with the inside of the box and I make a slice. Okay, so this will effectively wrap around on the inside of there. And I'll do the same on this side as well. That should then wrap around the inside of there. You could do this process with the scissors. Should be good if I did that straight. You could do this process with the scissors if you choose. I just choose not to. When it comes to the bottom, I'm going to make a line here with the knife on the outside or directly in line with that edge. I'm not laying a metal ruler down because obviously the metal ruler will stick to the glue. Right, got that. I'm now going to come in and do a line here. So I'm going to remove this area and I'm going to remove this area as well. So let's take that out of the way. Get rid of it before it gets stuck to anything else of mine. And that bit's gone. Now, I'm sure there are umpteen different ways of covering a box, guys. So take whatever works from you from this process and leave whatever doesn't. Okay, it's just the way I do it. That's all I can say. Okay, so you can see what I've done. I've removed the corners and I've still left this all attached. So I'm going to go in. Now, my preferred method is I put the box down and then I roll the box over its edge. And what that does, it helps me get a nice flat edge on here. So again, I'm going to put my box down, pressing down reasonably firmly, roll it over the tape, excuse my arm, and then that means it's pressed up fully against the side. Going to do the same here. Now, you may find, take that out of the way, you may find you need to hold it with both hands to do this. I would recommend doing it on a non-slip surface, because if anything's going to slip, it'll slip and stick immediately. So that's how I've got my box. As you can see, this is going to get covered, this is going to get covered, this is going to get covered, and this is going to get covered with the process that follows. Now, to me, this feels just slightly too high here. So I'm just going to come in, excuse the fact that you're not seeing me do this. But all I've done is just remove that little piece there, only because that could inhibit the bit that wraps around the top. Now, when it comes to here, I'm going to come in, I'm going to take my blade and remove the covering from the tape. And again, I'm going to do the process of rolling it. Now, all it's doing is it's rolling it to the top edge, because obviously you can't roll it in. And then I just run my finger and thumb up and down the whole length until it starts to adhere to the inside. And then I work my way along. And that's what I do to do the side of the box. Okay, so I'm going to pause you again for 2 minutes because you don't need to see the same process twice. And I'm going to do the other side of the box. But as you can see, we're already sealing all of this up, and also it enhances the strength of it all, although these boxes are pretty strong to start with. All right, let's pause you and I get this done. So here we are back. I've done both sides of the box in exactly the method that you saw me do. So now we just need to deal with the ends and the base. So now what I need to measure here is I'm measuring this width. And I want to go just ever so slightly on the inside of it, if I was to be completely honest. So this is 3.5. So I think if I did 1 notch under 3.5, I think that would probably be best. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in my guillotine. I'm going to pull in another piece of the card. I'm going to do it, just get in there. 1 inside, so that's 3.5. I'm just pulling it fractionally in from 3.5. Come on, why lining up? There you go. Now I'm probably going to need, actually no, I can probably do it with 1, to be honest. So in that case, right, this is 12, I'm going to cut this into 6. Because remember, we're having a base on our box anyway. Working with smaller pieces will actually make it easier for us as well. So I'm going to come in as I did before. Where's my pencil gone? Where has my pencil gone? There it is. So I'm going to put my marks on here. Remember, it was 2.5 blocks. 2.5 blocks, which is the width of my small double-sided tape. And I'm going to come in, and the first tape I'm going to put on is this one. I seem to have rulers all over the place today. What does that say about me? That's what I want to know. Put that one along there. Slice of a knife. Now, I have been asked, have I ever covered a round box? That would be a no. I don't think my brain could figure out how to cover a round box simply, let's put it that way. I mean, I could probably cover a hexagonal box, or anything with corners and sides I could probably manage. but I'm not sure I could get away with covering a round box. I'm sure someone out there's going to have a method for doing it, and like I'm sure there's been hat boxes covered and things like that. I don't think my brain could cope with the math and everything that goes into doing it. Get off there. So as we did before, I'm just going to put a couple of the thinner pieces in the middle. Let's rip that off there. Now, just going to bring in my metal ruler here, because I can see where the edge of this is. Actually, if I turn it over, it'll be even easier, won't it? So I just come in, take the excess off with my knife. Excess off with my knife. Now I'm just going to pause the video and do exactly the same again on the other half. So here we are, we've got our two pieces already with tape on them. Now, I would say there's a step that you should do before you peel the backing off. Make sure this piece fits inside your box. Fits in quite snugly. Now, we're only going to have the top edge going over, I know, but you need to make sure it fits inside the box, which is why I did slightly in from the side. It's worth checking it now, because if you don't check it now, it could be a problem later. Okay, so I'm just going to come in, remove these pieces, the backing, now, this time when you put this on, it's really important that you put it on square. So when I lay this down, if I put it wonky or squiffy, this is going to go off at an angle. So I'm going to do what I did before, but I'm going to be really, really picky about getting it flush, because it needs to go down the center of here. Now, as we did before, I'm going to put my hand in the box, roll the box over, and that will press that down. The sides are slightly narrower. They are always going to be slightly narrower because the inside of the box is slightly narrower. I'm going to take the top tape off without stabbing myself. And then I'm going to do as I did before. I'm just going to roll my box until it starts to curl around the top. Then I'm just going to use my fingers and thumbs, press it down. Give it a good press in the corners to make sure everything's in. Now, that's what we've done there. Now, I think as we've done quite well on time, I think I'm just going to do the other one with you here, because it's only a really quick thing. I haven't got to do cutting of corners off or anything like that. So this is just my way of freshening things up as the topic has been, but also if you ever look at one of my studio tours where I show you around my creative space, you will see I have lots and lots and lots of boxes that all are covered with my own artwork. And this is how I do it. And why do I do it? Because I'm proud to be an artist and I'm proud of my own work, and I wouldn't be creating it if I didn't love it. And I do love my art. So, right, that's all there. Just need to take this piece off. So it's just a great way of upcycling. I mean, unless you watch this video, you would never know these boxes started out as holding detergent pods for laundry. Right, so that's my box covered. I will always have these little pieces here. I haven't yet found a way of covering them up, but does it bother me? No, it doesn't. Now, the bottom is the last thing to do, and I literally need to cut a strip of this and put it over there. So I'm just going to do a quick bit of measuring. Sorry, I work in inches. Now, I'm going to come in from the ends because I've got this nice border around it. So if this is 9 1/4, if I make this say 9 by 3 1/4, let's make it 9 by 3 1/4. So 3 1/4 by 9. Keep this a little bit, you never know, that could become a small journaling card in the future. And we've got this, which will probably cover the other box. So simple, the next bit. And then I've got one little trick I like to do at the very end, which I'm going to share with you. Now, I am going to do something slightly different here. I'm not going to use the thinner tapes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just lift up the end of this so I can start to peel it away. Come on, why are you peeling up? Why is it? It's always the very last bit that it always starts to go pear-shaped. There you go. Peel it off, and then I'm going to overlap them only because of the width of my tape. Take that off there. Now I can see where the edges of my stuff is, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to come in with my knife, bring it down here. Make sure it's not sticky on the other side. Make sure it's not stuck to my fingers either. If I didn't overlap it, I would be able to use a metal ruler on it. But if I put my metal ruler on there, I'm going to open myself up for a whole world of pain, because guess what? It's going to stick to my metal ruler. So let's get rid of that and that. Come on, up you come. There you go. Right. At this moment in time, this is incredibly sticky, so don't let anything fall on it and don't drop it. I like to hold it in my hands like this, and I will just centralize it just by feel, and then give it one press down, and it's done. Our box is now completely covered. These boxes for detergents, because they have to hold quite a bit of weight, I love them because they're so rigid. Right, one last trick I like to do with all my boxes, because my boxes will sit on a shelf, and sometimes in the hot weather the acrylic paint gets sticky. So I go to my local, for me it's a pound store, for you it might be a dollar store, and there's these little felt dots you pick up for putting under ornaments and things like that. I always pick them up when I see them. They're little sticky dots, and I just put one in each corner and one in the middle. I put one in the middle because sometimes, you never know, if the stuff inside them is a little heavy, then it tends to bow downwards in the middle. I'm not measuring the middle, I'm just totally eyeballing it. So that's how I've covered my laundry pod box. I'm loving that, loving the colours, love the unique designs of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause you for 2 seconds. I know it's all about pausing you today, isn't it? And I'm going to get this one complete, and then we can see the two of them together as a pair. And I mean, I'd have to cover this one anyway, so why not? Okay, back in 2 seconds, guys. And I'm back. So here's what we did before. And here's the one I've just finished off screen, which was the lid of it. I'm very, very excited about these. I love them. My next biggest problem is I now had to pull all of my journal cards and all of my journal tags out to find out which ones are finished and which ones fit in the box. So the ending dimensions, just so you got an idea, let's just say well, that's 3 inches and 1/8, but I would say a 3-inch tag for that, and probably a 3.5-inch journal card for that. Now, I've said that. However, let's see if I can reach something. Yes, I can. Okay, so this could equally be paint storage. It could be anything you want, really. I mean, anything that can fit into a box, you could put into there. You could put a partition in the middle of it if you chose, but I chose not to because I want this as one long storage space. What did I use? So I made 4 12 by 12 backgrounds to cover these, and this is what I ended up with. This is what I've got left. So I could actually cover a smaller box, so you never know, that might even become a small journal cover. So just interesting. I really enjoyed that project. So let's leave those for you to look at while I just run through a few things. So this was part of the monthly topic for Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists group, which is a Facebook group. It was called Freshen It Up. Obviously January, beginning of the year, fresh start, all of that. So I actually just took detergent pod boxes and turned them into storage. Loving how these turned out. I did the papers using the January 2024 colour combo, which was pink, yellow, brown, black, white, and a metallic. And if you look, you can see pink, yellow, brown, black, white, and the metallic is in there. It's those stripes by there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so happy with that. Guess what I'm doing this afternoon? Well, besides editing and uploading this video, well, it's uploading. I'll be going through all of my supplies to try and fill these boxes, which will be a nice thing to do. So thank you very much, guys, for being patient and watching your way through 2 videos. Until next month, until next time I do a bigger project, it'll be back to the single videos, I think, for a couple of weeks, and then you never know, I might throw in a multi-video project again. So I'm Ceri the Crafter, that's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.